Hello everyone, today's topic is Palaemon, type study of Palaemon. We will try to cover some part of its systems in this particular class. Palaemon, that is freshwater prawns, is what we are going to talk about, and you can see in the picture that lovely Palaemon that it looks like. Coming to the classification, phylum Arthropoda, because they have jointed legs, so hence the name Arthropoda. Class crustaceans, because they are going to cut the food particles outside and then they are going to put it inside its mouth. So, crustaceans. Order Decapoda, deca means 10, poda means foot, 10 foot it's consisting of. Family Palaemonidae, genus Macrobrachium. Under Macrobrachium we have two types of species, that is Macrobrachium rosenbergi and Macrobrachium malcolmsoni. Now, if you can see the picture over there, we have the prawn which is divided into two parts. That is, the first part is the cephalothoracic region over there, and the ventral part is the abdomen region consisting of 6 segments, and you have the cephalothoracic region on top, that is the head, and the thoracic region combined together is called as cephalothoracic region. The cephalothorax is covered by carapace, which is having a compound eye. All arthropods have compound eyes. It has a frontal rostrum which looks resembles like that of a sword, and that is used whenever the Palaemon, the prawn, has to fight with the other giant ones. Then they are made up of 5 pairs of walking legs. Anteriorly they have antennae and the antenules, then they have a pleopods on the abdominal region, and the last segment you have a uropod. So, we will talk a little bit more into the detail of its appendages over there. External features, that is, they have the whole body of the prawn is covered by external covering called the chitin. The chitin is the one that is going to protect them from different harsh environment. The body of the prawn is elongated, bilateral symmetry, that is, when you cut the animal into 2 halves, you are going to get 2 equal halves, that is called bilateral symmetry, and they are spindle shaped. The body of the prawn divided into 2 main parts, that is a cephalothoracic region and the abdominal region. Now, when you are going to talk about its appendages, you have to divide them into 3 parts, that is, a cephalic appendages, thoracic appendages and abdominal appendages. Now, if you see the cephalic region, you have 5 pairs of appendages over there. The first one is the antenule, which is having a precoxa, the coxa and the basis with the antenule extended on top. The antenule consists of a sensory organ called statocyst on them. Then you have the next one, the antennae. The antennae is a tactile one, and they also have the excretory opening in the antennae. Then you have the mandible. The mandibles are helpful in masticating the food, and you have a maxillulae, then a maxilla. The thoracic region is made up of the maxillipedes, that is, you have 3 pairs of maxillipedes and you have 5 pairs of walking legs. Another walking legs, 2 pairs, the first 2 pair are having the chelated legs. You can see that scissor like structures over there. The first 2 pair have the chelated legs, and the next 3 pair are maxillipedes which help in holding the food. Then on the abdominal region you find the pleopods, that is, they are helpful in swimming of the animal. It is also called as swimmers. Then you have a last part on the segment, the uropod, which helps in darting movement of the Palaemon. So, what is a darting movement? We will talk about it one by one. Now, before going into the detail, you can just have a look at this appendages over there. That is the first one, which is the antenule. It is made up of precoxa over there. The first part is a precoxa, then you have a coxal region, then you have a basal region where it is branching into the feelers, and they also have an outer feeler and an inner feeler over there. At the base of this precoxa, you have the statocyst opening. You have a sensory organ called the statocyst, which helps the animal in balancing. Then you have an antenule over there. The antenule consisting of a coxa, a basis and a squama, from where from the basis arises the feelers, which is a long flagellum like structures which is tactile in function, and they also have a renal aperture over there on the antenule which helps in excretion of the animal over there. So, that is the renal aperture. Then you have a mandible. You can see the mandible having the incisors, the molars, the mandibular palp and the apophysis over there. Because of the presence of this incisor and the molar processes, the animal is able to chew the food and digest them. Then you have the next one, that is a maxillulae, consisting of the endopodites, and you have a maxilla also over there, endopodite, which helps in respiratory process in the animal. Then you have this the other next appendages, that is the maxillipedes, the first 3 pairs of maxillipedes that you found on the thoracic region. You have the exopodite, the endopodite over there, the basis and the coxa. Then you have this the same exopodite, endopodites, but a little bit larger ones over there. All these also helps in capturing the food, and also they help in a little bit of respiratory mechanism. That is, first of all, they are tactile in function. Tactile is they are sensory to touch. They also helps in respiration from where the water enters into the gill over there. So, you can see the gill chamber in the next in the second pair of maxillipedes over there, where the water enters and absorption of oxygen occurs. So, they are helpful in respiration, and of course, holding the food. They have to hold the food so that they can direct them towards the mandibles, and hence the food can be masticated by the animal over there. Then you have this walking legs over there, the next pairs of walking legs. That is first 2 pair of walking legs, you can see that is they have those chela like structures over there, which helps in cutting the food particles, and then you have the next pair, next 3 pair, that is they help in walking. The animal is able to walk on the land is because of this 3 pairs of walking legs. And when you are talking about the pleopods, I want you all to check that the first pleopod has a coxa, the basis and the endopodite, whereas the second pair of the pleopod consists of appendix interna and appendix maxilla. Just concentrate on this appendix maxilla. This masculina is the one that is present only in the males and absent in the females. So, this masculina is present only in the males. If they ask you to differentiate between a male and a female prawn, you will have to mention this particular point when you are writing the answer. Okay. Then you have this coxa, the basis, and that's the next pleopod over there with appendix interna present. There is no masculina. So, you find them only on the second pair of pleopods. Then the last one is a uropod, which is having an endopodite and an outer exopodite. These are the ones that helps in movement of the backward movement of the prawn. Okay, and also they help in balancing of the prawn. The locomotion part of the prawn, how do they move from one place to another? There is 3 types of locomotion in the prawn. First is a swimming. Swimming is done with the help of the pleopods, which acts as a oar. We also talked about those oars, like the one that you have on the ships, the boats, where they push the water. So, they also act like a oar over here, the pleopod. The forward movement of the pleopod is slow, while the backward stroke is fast, and the animal is able to move forward faster. And the uropod helps in guiding, and the antennae moves constantly, presumably feeling the surrounding. So, that is why we talked about them as tactile in function. Walking, as I told you, the last 3 pair of walking legs are used for walking. So, the walking legs move in harmony during walking. So, they are moving in a harmonious condition. Darting, this is one more type of a locomotion, where with the stretched pleopods and the uropods, the abdomen suddenly moves forward towards the cephalothoracic, and then the animal swiftly moves backward with a jerk, and this jerking movement is helped by this uropod. So, that is a darting, that is whenever they want to move backward or escape from any predator, this is the type they use to escape from the predators, that is the movement of backside. Okay. Coming to the body wall of the Palaemon consists of an outer layer of cuticle, a middle single layer of epidermis, and a last layer of the inner dermis. So, epidermis, the cuticle part is again divided into 2 parts, that is the epicuticle and endocuticle. The epicuticle is made up of a outer lipoid layer and an inner protein layer, whereas the endocuticle is again made up of 3 layers, that is it contains the outer layer of pigmented layer, the dark pigmented layer, and also have a tegumental gland, and the last layer is a calcified layer, a thick calcified layer that makes the skin a little bit thick and tough. So, that is the cuticle part. Coming to the epidermis region, the epidermis is made up of columnar cells over there, and it is consisting of all the cell secretions over there from the columnar region, and then the last part is the dermis layer. The dermis layer consisting of the blood lacunae, the connective tissues, the tegumental gland. So, that was the body wall of Palaemon. And if you are going to take a transverse section of Palaemon, you can see very clearly the upper part, the anterior part of the body has the extensor muscle over there, and ventrally to that extensor muscle you have a flexor muscle. Completely the body, the abdomen region is consisting of this flexor muscle, and in between this extensor and the flexor muscle runs the arteries and the intestine, that is the midgut, which runs inside them, and then you have those appendages on either side. So, you have to just concentrate on this extensor muscle and the flexor muscle, which helps in the different various movement of the prawn. Coming to the muscular system, the muscles are almost all entirely striped longitudinal except in the heart and the arteries where they are circular. The muscles are concerned with extension and flexion of abdomen and appendages, and they have 7 pairs of extensor muscle arising from the 6 abdominal segments and the telson. When these muscles contract, they extend and straighten the abdomen for the movement. Then they have 5 pairs of abdominal flexor muscle arising from the first 5 abdominal segments, and they lie ventrally and are very strong. Where flexor muscles contract, they bend the abdomen. So, here when the extensor muscle contracts, they straighten the abdomen, and whenever the flexor muscle contract, they bend the abdomen. Coming to the different organ systems in a Palaemon, the first one is a digestive system. It is composed of alimentary canal and hepatopancreas. You can see over there, that is the alimentary canal, the stomach region, and surrounding the stomach region, half of the stomach region is the hepatopancreatic region over there, and the alimentary canal consists of a foregut, the frontal foregut, the midgut, the mesenteron, and the hindgut over there. So, this is the parts over there, and the foregut consists of a mouth, the buccal cavity, a short buccal cavity which opens into the esophagus over there, and the esophagus opens into a large stomach, and the stomach opens into the cardiac stomach, and they also have a pyloric stomach over there, and the pyloric stomach opens into a long elongated midgut, almost acting like an intestine over there, and the midgut opens into a very short hindgut. The hindgut opens into a rectum and an anus. So, what is that? That is what are the different parts that you find in the particular cardiac stomach over there. The first one, let us talk a little bit about the mouth. The mouth is a large slit over there. So, you have the labrum on top of the mouth. So, that is a labrum. You have the mandibles on either side, which helps in masticating the food and letting the food inside the mouth. Then they have the different parts of bases of the mandibles, maxillula, and of course, the coxa over there. And the mouth opened into a very short opening. There is a opening of the mouth over there. Talking about the buccal cavity, the mouth opens into a very short buccal cavity, and it is anterior posteriorly compressed and has a thick chitinous lining which is thrown into irregular folds over there. You can see the folds over there, the irregular folds having an anterior fold, a very short anterior fold, and a very long posterior and lateral folds over there. The lateral folds again has a subfolding over there, the short foldings that you find consisting of the buccal cavity, and the buccal cavity opens into the esophagus, and the esophagus almost running vertically upwards from the buccal cavity into the stomach. The stomach, the esophagus leads into a spacious chamber, that is the stomach, which occupies the most of the cephalothoracic region. So, from this part to this part, all this cephalothoracic region, you find the stomach over there, a little bit again a small tube like structure running in the abdominal region, of course, and it is surrounded ventrally by the hepatopancreas. So, you can see all the brown color ones, that is the hepatopancreas. The stomach is divided into 2 parts, that is anterior large bag like cardiac stomach and a very small pyloric stomach, that is posterior to the cardiac stomach you have a very small pyloric stomach. What are the functions over there? The cardiac stomach is lined by internally with a delicate cuticle or intima, that is what you call as very delicate cuticle inside, and the wall of the stomach is supported by a cuticular plates or circular cuticular plates that is embedded in its internal lining over there, and there is a large triangular plate is embedded in the middle of the floor of the cardiac stomach. It is also called a hastate plate over there, hastate plate, because it looks like the head of the sphere over there. That is, when from the mouth, the mouth opens into a small buccal cavity with a lateral folds that is present over here and an anterior fold over there. They open into the esophagus. Esophagus has circular plate and also it has a lanceolate plate that is present on top, and then they open into a longitudinal wall of cardiac stomach, which moves into the next part, that is the Hastate plate. Now, when you go below that, the Hastate plate, the opening into the pyloric stomach over here. So, this is a pyloric stomach over there, the ventral pyloric stomach, and a dorsal chamber and a ventral chamber. And this chamber consists of posterior filter plates, and these open into the dorsal plate, which directly opens into the midgut over there. Now, when you are going to take a section of the stomach, how does the stomach look like? So, here you can see the longitudinal inner wall of the cardiac muscle completely, and in the center you have below the cardiac muscle you have this Hastate plate, and this Hastate plate consists of the comb like structures on either side, and this is again guarded by a ridge like structure over there. So, this is the guiding ridge, what you call that, they guide the food into the lanceolate chamber, that is internal to the lanceolate. There is a ventral opening over there, and they have an anterior valve and they have a posterior valve. All these valves have the setae that is present on this lining of the valve, that is they help in filtering of the food that comes inside the body. And this Hastate plate also has some comb like structures which helps in sieving part of the food, that is only the fine paste of the food is allowed to enter inside, the large ones are rejected out. And if you can take a closer look at of this lanceolate, this is how the lanceolate looks like, that is the comb plate that you find over there. So, around the lanceolate plate they have a comb plate, they have a guiding ridge which is a form of a folded like structure, guiding ridge, and they have a bristles of combed plate. The comb plate has those bristles which helps in sieving the food that is entering inside. Okay, so what is happening in the pyloric stomach? That was about cardiac stomach. Now, we will talk a little bit about pyloric stomach. It's a very small and narrow chamber lying below the posterior end of the cardiac, and the lumen of the pyloric stomach divided into dorsal chamber and a large ventral chamber, the two communicating with each other by a narrow vertical slit like aperture. And the floor of the chamber is raised into a median longitudinal ridge, so as to divide its cavity into two lateral compartments. Almost they look like a A-shaped cavity over there. So, if you can see over there, so they have that A-shaped structure over there. This is the pyloric stomach that you are talking about over here, and the floor of the ventral chamber is covered by a A-shaped filter plate, each side of which is a rectangular in outline and bears series of alternating longitudinal ridges and grooves. The ridges bear rows of horizontal comb like bristles which covers over the grooves. So, that helps them in filtering the food. The lateral walls of the ventral chamber are also lined with thick cuticle covered with closely set bristles, which together with the filter plate form an efficient filter or strainer, that is only the soft particle of the food enters inside, the hard particle are rejected outside. And the A-shaped plate is therefore called as pyloric filter plate, which allows only liquid food to pass through them. Now, how does a midgut look like? The midgut is a long, narrow, straight and slender tube running back along the median line above the mass of the ventral abdominal muscle up to the 6th abdominal segment. So, completely they are going to take over up till the 6th abdominal segment, that is the midgut, and the hindgut extends from the posterior end of the midgut to the anus and forms the shortest portion of the alimentary canal. So, this is a TS of the midgut and the hindgut, and the hindgut is having many folds present in them for maximum absorption of the food that is little more present in them, and the maximum is excreted outside from the hindgut. Now, when you talked about the digestive system, without talking about the hepatopancreatics, it is incomplete. So, a liver is a large bilobed compact, that is hepatopancreas is also called as liver. It is a large bilobed compact orange colored glandular mass occupying a considerable area of the cephalothoracic cavity. Dorsally, it is covered over by a reproductive organ, the reproductive organ that is present in the coelom of the body, and Also the heart, while ventrally it overlies the nerve cord. So, there is a nerve cord ventrally, it overlies the nerve cord over there. What are the function of the pancreas? Now, the pancreas, as we know, it is going to secrete all the digestive juices. If you can see, they are made up of many tubules over there, covered with the columnar cells on all sides, and they have the basement cell. On the basement cell are produce the columnar cell, and they have the lumen over there. From this lumen, all these tubules get collected into a larger tubule, and the larger tubule is the one that opens up into the hepatopancreatic duct. It is going to secrete digestive ferments which are capable of digesting carbohydrates, proteins and fats like the humans. And like the midgut, it absorbs the digested food material and also serves as an important storage organ for glycogen, fat and calcium like the liver. Now, coming to the respiratory system of Palaemon. The respiratory system organs are well developed and consist of bronchiosteges, which is also called as a gill cover. The gills have to be covered, and that cover is called as a bronchiosteges. 3 pairs of epipodites, you remember the epipodites that was present on the maxillipeds, and 8 pairs of gills or branchiae. Now, where are they going to be situated? Now, first we will talk a little bit about bronchiosteges. It is a gill chamber enclosed between the bronchiostege or carapace on the outer side and a thoracic wall on the inner side. These are highly vascular, containing blood lacunae. They have blood lacunae. Why blood lacunae? We will be talking about it when we are talking about circulatory system. And they are constantly bathed in the fresh water. Why? Because oxygen has to be constantly replenished on the gills, so that the gills are able to absorb the dissolved oxygen present in the water, thus forming the respiratory surfaces which absorb oxygen that is dissolved, and they give out carbon dioxide while the water is moving outside. Now, coming to the epipodites. So, here you are going to check the epipodites over there. There is one epipodite over there and the other one epipodite over here. And these are 3 pairs of simple leaf-like structures. So, you can see very simple leaf-like structures, and they are very highly vascularized, that is, they have those blood vessels, and which are outgrowths of the coxal podomers of the 3 maxillipeds. Now, talking about the gills, there are 8 gills lying inside each gill chamber, but only 7 of them are exposed. If you can count, you can see only 7 of them exposed. That is, the 8th one is present beneath the second gill chamber over there. So, that small chamber over there is the 8th one over there, and so they have 8 actually, but when you open the gill chamber, this is what you are going to find, only 7 pairs, but totally they have 8 pairs of gill. The types of the gills, there are 3 types of gills that are present on the gill chambers. There is a podomers or the foot gill, which is attached to the coxa of the appendage over there. So, the first one is a podomer. It is known as foot gill because it is present at the foot region, and one podobranch attached to the coxa of each second maxilliped. Then you have the second one, that is a orthobranch. It is attached on the orthrodial membrane of the third maxilliped. And you have the pleurobranchs, all the rest of the branches over there are the pleurobranchs, which are present on the lateral wall of the segment having the limb. There are 5 pleurobranchs attached to the lateral wall of the thoracic segment bearing 5 walking legs. So, near the 5 walking legs, all these pleurobranchs are attached. And each gland having a ridge in the center, and they have 2 either side, they have those comb like structures which helps in absorption of the gill, and this is a gill base or the ridge that you are looking at over here. So, they have 2 sides of the gills. When you are talking about the structure of the gills, you can see over here they have the median longitudinal chamber, and they have either side lateral longitudinal channels, and they also have the marginal channels over there. And this TS of the gill, it shows that they have those pigment cell. They are made up of single cell. It is made up of pigment cells, and also they have the clear cell alternating by pigment cells and a clear cell, and these are the gill plates that is found, and these are more or less crescentic in shape with a gradual increase in size anterior posteriorly from topmost to the posterior mode. They gradually increase in size. Each gill is attached in the middle of its length to the thoracic wall by a small connection called the gill root. The nerves and the blood vessels enter and leave the gills through the gill roots. Between the 2 rows of the gills, they run a deep median longitudinal groove that is running, and they open into the gill chamber at the both dorsal and the ventral sides of the gill. Vascular system of the gills. So, when you are talking about the vascular system of the gills, So, now you can see in the picture of this, there are 3 longitudinal blood channels that is present. That is, these are 2 lateral longitudinal channel on either side, and you have a median longitudinal channel in the center of the gills over there. The 2 longitudinal channels are connected with each other by a small transverse connective tissue that you can find over there. And the course of the blood, what happens is, when impure blood from the body is brought to the gill by an afferent branchial channel. So, all the impure blood that is present in the body is brought about from the afferent branchial channel. The blood moves into the transverse channel of the tubule over there, and from the transverse channel they enter the longitudinal channel. Now, once they enter the longitudinal channel, they move on top and then they move towards the marginal channel and they enter into the median channel. So, that is the central median channel, that is elongated one over there. This median longitudinal channel is again innervated by efferent branchial arteries. Now, all the blood, impure blood that was collected from the afferent branchial channels goes through the longitudinal channel. From there they go to the marginal channel, and from there into the median longitudinal channel. Now, inside the median longitudinal channel, the blood that has been that was deoxygenated now becomes oxygenated from the efferent branchial channel. Now, from the efferent branchial channel, they are going to go into the blood sinuses and then ventral sinuses, that is the whatever was collected, and they go into the pericardial sinus. From the pericardial sinus, they are going into the heart. How? From the pericardial sinus, the heart is consisting of ostia, and they have 5 pairs of ostia in the heart, that is one on the dorsal side, one on the ventral side, one each on the anterior dorsal side and ventral posterior side, and one on the posterior region. So, they have this ostia which opens like a form of a lip like structures. The pericardial sinuses, whatever the oxygen or the blood is collected, they move into the heart region, that is the oxygenated blood has been collected into the heart region, and they move into the heart. Now, with the help of the systemic rhythmic contraction and expansion, when the heart contracts, the blood moves into the arterial systems, from where the blood is moving to different parts of the body. So, this is how the vascular supply of the gills occurs, that is, from the blood supply, the oxygen is being sent to different parts of the body. Along with the oxygen, the blood is also carrying nutrients to different parts of the body. So, this is the course of blood in a gill chamber that is carried out from deoxygenated to oxygenated blood with the help of gills. Mechanism of respiration. When the water enters through the gills, the epipodites reach the gill chamber, from where it is expelled out at the anterior end. The gills and the epipodites richly supplied with blood and exchange of gases takes place. The oxygen dissolved in the water is taken by the blood and carbon dioxide diffuses out. The action of scaphognatite is supplemented by the movement of exopodites and maxillipedes. Thank you.